What's up, everybody? It's Jason Cruz here once again with another episode of The Legal Submission. As always, please like to the video, subscribe to the YouTube page, visit MMApayout.com for all the business and legal happenings in the world of combat sports. Now this week, maybe you do or do not know, but Floyd Mayweather is actually doing a boxing exhibition out there in Dubai on a helipad strip. And he is once again active doing exhibitions and making money. This episode of the Legal Submission, we're going to be talking about a particular lawsuit that was filed earlier this year in Superior Court of the State of Los Angeles, related to alleged deals with Floyd Mayweather and Al Heyman and Mayweather Promotions. The lawsuit was filed by a Nevada LLC entitled Yogi Securities Holdings LLC, and it relates to a purported, alleged ticket scam in which Floyd Mayweather and Al Heyman were said to be a part of. Now, whether or not that's true is going to be panned out in the lawsuit that's filed in the State Court of California in Los Angeles. And this kind of goes back to a little bit of Floyd Mayweather and his alleged relationships with a couple people in this particular lawsuit. And the lawsuit reads like a tale of a get-rich-quick scheme that turned into something that was not getting people rich. So here are the cast of characters to follow in this particular legal submission. So one of the persons that actually was suing is an individual by the name of Joseph Englenoff, and he was the authorized agent and trustee of the manager of Yogi Securities, and he was authorized to act on behalf of the organization. Now, they had dealings. So there's also another individual by the name of Alan Avi Gollenbach, known as Avi, and he was also a part of this particular issue on the defendant side. He was working on behalf of either Mayweather Promotions or Al Heyman or Floyd Mayweather. Another guy to know was, I believe, his brother Abraham, Zev Gollenbach. He goes by Zev. And he was also in on this deal. And also an individual by the name of Eyal Frist. And he was also one of these people we'll talk about who were alleged middlemen in this particular lawsuit. So Englenoff and Floyd Mayweather apparently were friends, were in the same social circles, met in Los Angeles, and in fact, Englenoff's home so in 2021, Mayweather became interested in purchasing one of Englenoff's high-end luxury properties in Bel Air. And so while the negotiations were going on through them personally and in drafting purchase and sale agreements through their respective attorneys, the two struck up, I don't know if you call it a friendship, but the mutual respect for one another. And at this point, it was Mayweather that allegedly came up with a potential business for Englenoff and his organization, or LLC. And that is related to his opportunity to purchase Floyd Mayweather Logan Paul seats. So the time frame was late last year. Was at the beginning of last year. And as we know, the Mayweather-Logan Paul fight happened in June. Mayweather allegedly offered Englenoff the opportunity to purchase tickets to the fight at either a below market value, or at the retail ticket face value, and the scheme was that Englanov would be able to sell these tickets off at a better rate, at a higher rate. So basically a ticket reselling business, which would, according to the complaint, would be lucrative for both Mayweather and Englanov and his associates. Now, a portion of this scheme here is that Mayweather would receive a portion of the profited tickets resale business, a profit of the resale tickets, as well as Englanov receiving a portion of it as well. So here we are. Englanov is going to be investing in this particular quote-unquote business in which Mayweather and Hal Heyman, according to the lawsuit, had access to these tickets for face value. Englanov would purchase these tickets and then resell them for a higher value. That's the whole plan. And what would happen is that Mayweather would receive a cut, and then Englanov would receive the rest of the money. The initial investment was to be $1.2 million. So it's a big investment in these tickets. So it's not like 10 tickets. It's a lot of tickets. And then Englanov raised that up to $1.4 million as an investment in these particular tickets. And this is this is Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. So they are betting on themselves, but whether or not this is a correct business is really up to them, maybe perhaps state laws as well. So the money was going to be wired or sent directly to Mayweather or Mayweather Promotions into their bank account, and then the tickets were purchased and sold. So the entire investment would be repaid first, and then the profits from the sales would be a split of 75% to Mayweather and 25% to Englanov. So the initial belief was that they recoup the money first, the initial investment, and then everything off the top would be split up 75-25. Still not the best of deals, but again, if there was a belief that these tickets would sell higher, much higher than the face value, then you'll be still making out pretty well. So the payoff would happen about a week or so after the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight, which is the beginning of June. The wiring of the money for the tickets were made, and the ticket sales went through. Now, just to back up a little bit, the plaintiffs did not have actual access to these tickets. They just made the investments. So there's another thing, is that they didn't actually have in hand the tickets and were not receiving that particular money. They were going through some intermediaries that we originally mentioned, including Avi and his business A Goal. And so June 13th comes around, which was the date they were supposed to receive their profits, or at least recoup the money, the 1.4 million, and then the profits, and no money was paid to them. And in spite of the demands about where the money is, no money was paid to Englanov. So he asked Mayweather, or at least Mayweather's associates, and Avi and a goal, and still nothing. So the summer goes through, and in July of 2022, an arrangement was made in which Avi and Zev would be in charge. Would be one of the individuals or entities in charge of tallying up the ticket information and the monies that were due to them back in June. So that happens, but they went through the whole process and requesting a W-9 form from the plaintiff, from Englanov, and confirming that the amount being paid to Englanov would be $4.886 million. So there is an allegation that they did come up with the sales from these tickets, and it came up to $4.886 million from a $1.4 million investment. Now, again, remember the split is 75 Mayweather Promotions, Al Heyman, 25% to Englenoff, but still 25% of 4.8 million is really very good. So July comes around, still no money, even though they were told about this information. And Englenoff starts to get concerned. There is a belief that through Englenoff's contacts that there is movement as far as getting this money happening. They are talking about wiring the money and things of that nature. Text messages go back and forth, but still no money. And of course, if you're in Englenoff's position, you are concerned about your initial investment of 1.4 million. And then you're also wondering, well, where's my cut of the 4.8 million that was allegedly sold here? And it appears, it comes out in late July that they did not, that the money was not there. They didn't have the money. That the intermediaries were going to try to make some sort of good faith payment to Englenoff, but he was not going to receive the amount he was actually promised as a result of their business agreement way back in earlier in 2022. Now we talk about good faith payments. Actually, Englenoff received $100,000 from the intermediaries here, but not the full amount back. In August 2021, there was a revised agreement in which Englenoff would receive $4.88 million from the Mayweather-Paul payoffs, of which 1.4 million represented repayment of plaintiff's principal investment, and because defendants had rolled over that investment into the Pacquiao fight, which actually I'll get to in a sec, he would receive a portion of that as well. So what had happened here is that instead of paying off Englenoff, the money that they received from the ticket brokerage, in which they were told it made a $4.8 million, that was rolled into tickets for Pacquiao Spence, which actually became Pacquiao Ugas. And so here we are again with Englenoff concerned because, one, he didn't agree to a second ticket brokerage engagement, and two, they had the money and then they just used it. So that it becomes another big issue, and then you're going to see a trend coming here very soon. So they push off Englenoff again into perhaps another deal. He only has $100,000 at this point of a $1.4 million investment he made in these particular tickets. It then comes out that they pushed money after the Pacquiao fight, not back to Englenoff, and say sorry that we used your money that you had initially invested, and of course they turned $1.4 million into $4.8 million, and it came out that after the Pacquiao fight now it had $5.8 million. So he's doing well, but he's not seeing any of this payoff. And so you're wondering, why didn't Englenoff sue Mayweather Promotions, any of the intermediaries at this particular point? Well, one, I believe that my belief is that the friendship between Mayweather and Englenoff was such that he didn't want to sue his friend. Secondly, they were making money. It's just that they didn't actually have access to it. Now it's like a gambler that has that wins money, but instead of pocketing it, they roll the dice yet again. And we see after the Pacquiao-Ugas fight, the alleged money that Englanov invested went into the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight, which actually happened in October of 2022. So here we have all these big fights, and this is why you kind of see how Al Haymon is involved in this particular lawsuit, since PBC was involved in these particular fights, and they keep rolling the money that they used in these tickets to another fight. And and what happens in the lawsuit is that after Wilder Fury, they also roll it into Tank Davis's fight with Isaac Cruz, I believe, which was in early December. So here we have this particular lawsuit in which an individual invests $1.4 million into a ticket business in which he basically he invests money, purchases tickets to be sold on the resale market. So what became of Avi and Zev, the middlemen that were involved in this ticket brokerage business? They claim in the fall of 2021 that they themselves did not know that the tickets were being reinvested in other fights. Notably, that the money was reinvested into the Wilder Fury ticket business. So they themselves indicated that they had their own money tied up in this particular business. So where are we at this particular point? Yogi Securities, Englanov's business, has sued personally Floyd Mayweather, Al Haymon, Mayweather Promotions, also several of Avi and Zev and several of their business holdings as well. And most of it relates to a breach of contract, which is the agreement. The agreement was supposed to be for just the Paul Mayweather fight, and that, of course, as I explained, did not occur. Then there's a breach of a fiduciary duty, obviously, in these particular contracts, and the individuals that were holding the money or transacting the money, they had a fiduciary duty to uphold the contracts. That did not happen. Then there's a claim for conversion. Conversion basically is stealing, and the allegation is that somebody along the way took the money without the other party knowing. And of course, the negligent misrepresentation, fraud, and concealment is what you would probably think in these particular issues, where one party believes something is going to happen and the other party does not do it. The party being aggrieved probably thinks that that there was a misrepresentation of the agreement, and of course, the fraud and concealment relates to the deferral of the money or the funneling of the money into another fight ticket business or ticket reselling platform. So at this particular point, the parties have fought over service of the complaints. Mayweather, Haymon, they are located in Nevada. Some of the LLCs are in other states, so there's fights going on regarding that, and striking the complaint because it's been filed in the state court of Los Angeles. Yogi Securities itself is a LLC Nevada corporation. Why the plaintiff is using another foreign jurisdiction is another question, but so that is still has to be hammered out before we get to the substance of the claims. Is Floyd Mayweather or Al Haymon guilty in this particular case? I would say no. I would think that the ticket resale business that was proposed either by Mayweather or a Mayweather associate or someone down the line probably took someone down the line converted the money themselves. I'm not sure if Mayweather or Haymon would conduct themselves in this way because they make so much money on the legitimate end that why would you have this ticket reselling business and then utilize the money other than what was agreed for. So what we could see from this is a motion to dismiss the case or a summary judgment motion. It will be interesting to see if there's any sort of actual statements from Floyd Mayweather Jr. or Al Haymon themselves. Probably not, because like I said, we've talked about these intermediaries that worked with the ticket sellers and resellers. So we will see what happens of that. We will probably see something happen within the next month or so, and it's an interesting little lawsuit because of the unique nature of how they claim Floyd Mayweather and Al Haymon were involved. And the allegation is that they knew of this scheme that was occurring. And it's hard to believe, but we will see. Jason Cruz with a legal submission. Have a good day, guys. Once again, visit the YouTube channel, visit MMA Payout, and please like the video and also subscribe to the Substack. We'll see you later.